Hi, and welcome to Faculty Spotlight. I'm your host, Cynthia Murillo, and with me today is Dr. Michael Salisbury. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, sir. So, before I reached out to you, just so that you know, this show is called Faculty Spotlight, so it's an opportunity to just shine the spotlight on some of our faculty here. First, could you tell us your job title here at ASU?
Sure. I'm the Dean of the Freshman College and serving as the Interim Dean of Arts and Humanities as well as a professor over in the Ag Department.
You are a busy man. So before I actually reached out to you, I wanted you to know, since it is Faculty Spotlight, that you actually come very highly recommended by both the faculty and the students here at ASU.
Well, thanks.
So I was very excited to get to sit down with you and get to know you both personally and professionally, because I want you to know I've heard nothing but great things about you.
Those people tell good lies then.
Okay, well, thank you again for being on the show, but could you please just tell us a little bit about yourself for those that don't know you? Or
Sure. I guess from how it relates to ASU, it starts back. I was actually a student here. I got my bachelor's and master's both here at Angelo State just a few years ago. And then got it in animal science and then went to New Mexico State University where I got my PhD. And then I took my first faculty job out of college was at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville. So I went from San Angelo, kind of a moderate environment, lived in the Chihuahuan Desert for about 4.5 years, and went from 9 inches of rain to the Appalachians where they get 54 inches of rain, and then came back.
wow.
And then had a chance to return to where I started back in 2001. So I moved back to San Angelo in '01.
So where are you from?
I'm from Monahans, which is about
Oh, okay.
165 miles west of here.
Okay, yeah. So you came to San Angelo for Angelo State? Mm-hmm. Okay, awesome.
Yep. It was being the first person in my family to complete a college degree and go to school.
Wow.
I really didn't have an idea of what it was about, and a faculty member was working with us. I was on a judging team as a kid, and then he came out and judged a show and kind of took me under his wing, offered me a scholarship to come to school, and that's what made me come to ASU to start with, was the faculty interaction, and so that's kind of the reason I came back.
That's awesome. I think it was Dr. Topliff that says you are a true product of ASU because you come all the way from the ranks, all the way.
Yep.
That is so awesome. So you get the ASU culture.
Yes.
You get being a student. You get being a
Yes.
everything really. I mean, you've kind of done a little bit of everything. So that's awesome.
Yeah, and then my wife, she got her degrees here. She got her bachelor's, and then after we came back, she was working. She ended up getting her master's degree, and then I've had a son finish his degree here, and he married an alum as well.
Oh my goodness.
And my twin daughters graduate in May.
I love it. It's Christmas just
Yes.
like ASU colors.
Pretty
You're
much.
like, forget the red and green.
That's
How
right.
funny. I love that. That's awesome. So when you were coming to school here, did you ever think you'd end up here?
No, actually, I wasn't 100% sure what I wanted to do in life. Shortly after I was in school, I kind of picked up 2 or 3 areas and had a chance. And I was always a person that didn't really know what they wanted to do for sure. They just knew they wanted to be involved. So I stayed active with faculty and then got involved in research and started doing research out the University Ranch north of town when I was a student, and that kind of hooked me into it, and that got me to moving forward. And then once the faculty realized that was my goal, they didn't let me change my mind along the way. They kept kicking me in the backside and sitting me to where I am.
So you're involved with the wool judging as well, correct? Okay. So and ASU just won the
The San Antonio Livestock Exposition.
yes, okay. Yes, that's awesome. So what exactly does that entail?
Okay. Wool judgings were a student, the team, they have to evaluate wool based on assuming it came off of certain animals, and you're evaluating it just comparing one to the other, but then you're also grading it based on its economic merit. And so they're people don't think of agriculture as thinking of ranching and cowboys and rodeos and stuff like that, but a lot of times in class I would teach and recommend that students think of it as the beginning of the food process, or everything that agriculture has to do with human consumption, whether it's food and we often refer to it just as food and fiber. So it's either in the food side of things or it's in the fiber side. So if you think of cotton, but wool and mohair is the same way. Everything goes into textiles. So as an ag person, you work at that side, you kind of learn the textile side of stuff too,
Yeah.
which sounds kind of funny, but you do. I can talk to you about the whole spinning process for making yarn. So
Wow, wow. And San Angelo used to be the wool capital of the world. Do you think we'll ever get that title back?
probably not, because synthetics have changed that industry a little bit. There's still a great value and a need for wool and for natural fibers, but people as a whole, we change our mind a lot. And so carpets used to last 50 years and still look just like the day and you could you could pull up carpet, dye, strip it of color, re-dye it, and put it back in your house and look like brand new carpet. But it costs a lot of money to do that. Where now synthetics, we can do it so inexpensively now, and you can change your carpet out for a fraction of the cost of having natural fiber put in your house.
Yeah. But we are the world leaders in our fiberglass sheeps around town.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
I love those. Do you have a favorite one?
No, there's every one of them has its own unique
I
story if you
love
think
it
about it.
though. I'm not gonna lie. I think I like Market Streets because I'm such a foodie. I like to see all the food
Yeah,
painted on
I don't
them.
know that I've
You never
actually
seen
paid
Market
attention to theirs.
Streets?
I've
It's
seen it.
almost
I've
like
never
food.
paid attention.
Yeah, well, Zachary Cardock, he's the one that used to have the show, and him and his daughter, they would do that like as an activity. They would go out and like go on searches for the different sheeps in town. So I thought that was really cool. But it sounds like I guess it could be a fun hobby. Speaking of hobbies, what do you like to do when you're not working?
Well, speaking of food, actually, that's one of my hobbies is I love to cook.
Oh, awesome.
So I do that, and I actually cook for 2 or 3 as a volunteer at 2 or 3 different groups around town.
Oh, wow.
Used to cook. I'm not on the schedule now, but I try to cook 2 or 3 times a year for Young Lives Matter and stuff like that for their evening meetings and stuff like that for young people, but then also just for people. And then outside of that, building construction stuff, I'd like to work with your hands. I mean, as an ag person, that's kind of what you do. So.
Yes. Do you consider that kind of being part of like your self-care as well?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's we're just doing some work at the house, and I've just built a shop, and so I'm finishing the inside of it myself and everything. And I told my wife, I said, it's actually having something physical to go out and do. You can lose yourself and forget about the world if you have something to do that doesn't require. I'm not going to say it doesn't require mental thought, but it doesn't require the typical one that during the day that you can just work through it and not worry about anything.
Yeah, I can imagine if you're doing this all day and you got want to go home and work with your hands. So like, yes, I definitely get that. And one thing, that I feel like as students that we struggle with is like that work-life balance, the school balance. And so one thing I've been really trying to promote, well, we have different shows here at Ram Radio. One of them's Mental Health Monday. And we talk a lot about like self-care routines. And one thing I like to do a lot is like journal. I like to do like nature walks and stuff like that. And so, I mean, I enjoy it. But what do you enjoy most about your job?
Students.
Students.
That's some people say, well, at this point in your career, but I was in the ag department for I guess maybe 10 years before I became department chair, and I was department chair for 7. And then I got a chance they hired me to move over to the College of Graduate Studies and Research as a dean. I'd been doing that for 3 years, and they asked me, Dr. Wagner had left the role as freshman college. They asked me to do both of them for a while. And within about a week, I realized how much I did miss the students because I was all of a sudden back working with the student again and solving problems. And so I called and asked them if I could apply, and they let me apply to move back. And so that's the most important part of it is working with the students, seeing if you see one every once in a while that just you change their life a little bit. And I see that every once in a while. I've got quite a few that call. I've got a student that years ago had just a collapse in life, and I kind of took him under my wing and tried to help him out a little bit, and he's been graduated for about 9 years. I still get a Christmas card from him every year.
No way, that is so awesome. I love that.
So that I've seen him around, but he'll come up to me anytime. But I do get a Christmas card from him every year, and he's moved to 2 or 3 towns. And then another part is I serve as the faculty athletic rep, the FAR, and so I get a chance to work with the athletic programs, which I kind of grew up watching my kids. I didn't play sports. I did a little bit of rodeo, that kind of stuff as a kid, but following them around, so I get a chance to stay involved there, and so that's always a lot of fun. So that's what I enjoy, and my kids were athletes, so it just kind of adds to it. You just kind of keep going with it a little bit.
Sounds fun. So, what do you feel like is your most favorite thing about ASU in general?
I still think it's, and we talk about it, referred to as a Ram fam. That was a phrase that came in along, but it was true. I think for me, the most that just kind of says ASU is the interaction, the fact that most faculty try to learn who their students are, and there's classes if you over in some of the general biologies and stuff. They're too large to theoretically figure that out, but they learn most of them. But I get laughed at sometimes because even though I'm not in a bunch of classes, I still teach a general studies class every fall. But for all the athletes, I actually print off their rosters, and my goal is to learn everybody's name. Try to see them walking across campus, I can say hey by name instead of just hey, I see you on the game. But you introduce yourself by name, and so I don't get it accomplished to all of them, but I try.
I love that. I heard that once and it said, respect someone enough to remember their name. And I'm going
Yeah.
to be honest, I'm horrible with names. And I've had professors that I've had a whole lecture hall and they will remember me by name. And I feel so bad because it's like 100 of us, one of them, and I still can't remember the name. And I feel so bad. I really do because I love when professors can remember my name. It's so personal, you know?
Yesterday we had the foreign affairs speaker, and Ambassador Taylor was on campus. I had the opportunity to shuttle him around, and he met with some students in a class at 11 o'clock. And a few of them mentioned their names and stuff. They came to his evening talk last night, and one of them raised their hand. He called them by name.
Oh my, so impressive.
Yeah, like,
How
wow.
do you do that? I wish I could. I really do, because I don't ever want to come off like disrespectful. I'm really bad. So I call everybody sweetie. Thank God we live in Texas, because, I've heard up north that could be offensive.
Yes.
So, I'm everybody sweetie to me. So is there anyone that you've worked alongside with during your career that you really feel like you admire?
Yeah, there's not a one person. There's a lot of different people. The position I was actually hired to replace was Dr. Don Shelby. He was on faculty when I was a student, and this is the position I've gotten. He was still in town quite a while after he had retired, and then even after he moved back to Illinois, he and I still communicate quite a bit. And I worked beside him as a graduate student, but he was one of those people that remembers everything. And I always admired him. And then my advisor when I was in school here was Dr. Gil Engdahl. He still lives here in San Angelo. He retired in 2013, and I was moved into the chair of the department following him. So I got to follow my old grad student boss, and then he was the one that hired me back. And so I really respected him, and a lot of it was the name, the respect he gave to every student. Nobody was ever, it didn't matter where you came from and who you were the same to him. And he took everybody, and Don Shelby was the same way. And so those two, because of their interaction, I would say those were probably two of the people I respected the most. And then there's somebody over in the ag department now who's fixed to move into the chair, Dr. Cody Scott. He and I were students together for a brief time here, and then he went off, and then he got his PhD and he was hired back here while I was still a graduate student. And he and I worked together, and his commitment to this campus has always been admirable to me.
And as far as like the ASU core values, is there anyone that really like sticks out to you the most, or that you feel like you resonate, or even if you have like a story about any of them?
Yeah, there's two of them that I use a lot. One of them is integrity, and the other one's community.
Okay, I would say integrity, and my other one was diversity and inclusion. But okay, tell us about it.
Yeah, no, the integrity is that's how I live, and people ask me a lot of times what it takes. What do you use when you make a decision about what to do on campus? As I've changed jobs and stuff, I ask myself three questions. One of them is, does it make the academic experience for the student better? Does it do something? Does it improve ASU? And then is it the right thing to do? And if the answer to any one of those three is no, it's the wrong choice. And that's kind of where the integrity is. If you make those decisions, that's the way it is. And the community is, because I think as ASU we've grown to be a bigger part of the community. I'm not going to say it's always been that way as campus has grown. We link that together, but I also learned from quite a few faculty that I worked with, but went to school with as well, about the importance of community, whether it's with ASU or within yourself, why it's so important. And because of that, try to stay involved in the community as much. I'm on 2 or 3 different boards of directors around town, and then working
Wow.
with Stock Show, and then on some foundation boards, and then one of them too that I think is pretty cool is I officiate high school volleyball.
Oh you are a busy man. How do you have time to be building anything? I love it though. I love how you're so involved.
And then whenever I do that, it's pretty cool to be out and somebody recognize you. Like
Yes.
I was on the stands and got a tap in the back when I was calling. It was Dr. Beatty from there. He says, "Hey, don't mess up." So when people recognize you like that, it's always pretty cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. When I was thinking about the core values, I was remembering back. I used to work retail pharmacy, and one of the gentlemen came down from corporate office, and during your lifetime you receive a lot of compliments, but the one compliment that always stuck with me was, "Cynthia, you're one of the few employees we have left with any integrity in this company," and that for some reason like that one stuck. Yep. I mean, you get a. I mean, I feel like I try to give compliments a lot, so I feel like I get a lot of compliments. I think it's mostly because I give them out. People are like, "I gotta give her a compliment," But that one really stuck with me, and so that integrity is really big. Diversity and inclusion's big. Just because I'm not the average college student, I did everything backwards. I had children, then got married, then went to school. But everyone's been so accepting. Like, I guess I was even apprehensive coming to Ram Radio and being in the classroom. As a mom, as a wife, and everyone's been so kind. I didn't feel, at first I thought, I'm only going to go online because I'm going to feel awkward. It's not like that. Even my daughter, she comes too, and she says, "Mom, you have more friends than I do." So I love it.
Always it's kind of cliche or however you want to say it, but kind of a funny way of looking at it because I've been asked about the diversity and inclusion. I always said, I looked at it more the other direction. I always feel like, and we do this as a family, as my kids, if you're inclusive, the rest of it takes care of itself. Mm-hmm. If everything you do is inviting to everybody, then everything else, everybody feels welcome, and so you're going to be quite a diverse group.
That's good.
So
yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the way my kids live, or at least I hope they do.
Yeah, I love it. Is there any accomplishment, award, anything like that you're most proud of?
Probably one of the coolest ones was I made it to one of the nominations, made it to the top 2 of faculty teaching award back when it first began many years ago. That it happened that quick, and then I've had several others recognition for time and stuff like that I've spent with different groups. But those to me are the most important. But the best recognitions whenever somebody says thanks. Whenever you attend, that means more than anything else you can put in your closet.
Yeah, for sure. I was reading, I think it was a segment that Rampage, the newspaper, had wrote on you when you first got your position as the dean. And they were just talking about your different roles. But something that I took from there, it was a quote that you had said right after y'all took the first place and y'all were named national champions for the wool judging. Mm-hmm. And it said, "It goes to show that if you work hard and you keep going, you can accomplish your goals." And that's what our department is all about. And I just want to say, well said. Is there any other advice that you would give the students here at ASU?
I mean, be respectful, integrity, but also I always tell students a lot of times when you're trying to learn and move forward in life, that most of the time whenever we're trying to learn things, your mouth and your ears don't work at the same time.
Yeah.
So if one of them's working, the other one's probably not. So I always say listen, pay attention. And then the other one that I've probably learned more in the last, I'm going to say 10 years and before, is don't make any assumption about anybody you meet. Mm-hmm. Learn their story, learn who they are.
That is such good advice.
Because everything that happens in a kid's life or in your life, I mean, it's kind of being all the way down to kind of weird, but choosing which person to walk beside may change the path of everybody that you pass. So learn them, figure out who they are before you ever make any assumptions. And most of the time, if you learn who the person is, any adversity goes away because you're like, hey, it wasn't. It's driven by something else. So learn the people and pay attention to them. That's probably the most important before you make any assumption.
That's good. That's really good. What is your vision or your goals for the freshman college?
I think one is to be a source for students. I know as things move so quick, kids, I say kids in general, anybody that's below about 40 is a kid to me anymore. But students need a place to feel safe and feel like it's a home, and I'd like for it to be that place. I think we're going it, but also to be known for a resource for all students, whether it's at any age. That's our goal, and we're working toward that. We're adding a few tools, but then also to be a resource for faculty. I think we have a lot of things to offer to help students be successful, especially with our changing world. I had a student that came into an NSO this last summer, and we sat down and had a conversation about graduate school. And she was just coming to start school because she has 75 hours when she started as a freshman.
Oh my goodness!
So she's truly a junior, but
yes.
she was her first semester. She had 75 hours. So we
wow.
were discussing grad school right out of high school.
Wow.
So that's my goal for the freshman college, is to be that place that can be the hub for information.
That's awesome. So it is a radio show, so I'm going to ask you,
Sure.
What are you listening to nowadays?
What music am I listening to?
Yes.
Most people would laugh, but I don't have a single kind of music I listen to.
No?
No.
Do you have a favorite song?
The one since I was a kid, it's the one, Don't Worry, Be Happy.
Don't worry, that one?
That one.
Be happy.
Yep, that's the one. If I was to pick a favorite singer, favorite genre, it would be Jimmy Buffett music.
Awesome.
So
So do you think you're more of like a TV guy or a book guy?
I'm going to have to say probably a book guy.
Yeah, I love books.
Yep. I mean, I'm not a big story novel type person, but I do like books and TV. I've never been a huge TV watcher, so
I just feel like I don't have time.
I listen to it. I'll turn it on in the background and listen, but I very seldom watch it.
Do you have like a favorite book?
Got two or three that's going to sound funny, but one of my I'm not a big history person. There's a few of them, but a book I really enjoyed reading was the biography of Teddy Roosevelt.
Okay.
So he was my favorite. If you go back in historical presidents, he's my favorite.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so this is just more like for fun, but just because I want to know, really.
Okay.
Are you a coffee or a tea kind of man?
Coffee.
I love coffee. Okay. Black? Do you put sugar, milk in it?
Mostly black.
Me too! If you put anything in it, I feel like it's just not strong enough. It just doesn't work.
Yeah. So now I'm going to ask you, do you consider yourself ADD?
I don't know, because I heard this whole...
Most of, in my age, we figured out how to self-medicate, because I went to one of my kids, we had to fill out a questionnaire about whether they were or not, because they were struggling when they were 7 or 8 years old. And I filled all that out, and my wife said, I feel like I'm answering questions about you. And we went in, and she said that to the doctor, and the doctor wrote down, he says, he drinks these items and started at this age, and he picked everything I drank.
Oh, my goodness.
He said he learned how to self-medicate when he was a teenager.
Wow.
I started drinking coffee in high school.
Did you? Oh, I love coffee. I'm not gonna lie.
Coffee
I could do
Mountain
tea.
Dew.
I could do tea, coconut tea from HTO. Have you tried it?
I've never tried the coconut
You gotta
tea.
try it. It's really good.
Okay.
But I'm definitely. So today I went down to the UC because they're having Create a Critter, so you could do like little stuffed animals for Valentine's. I got me one, and they also had a whole bake sale for the veterans. So I got me a cookie there. But anyway, are you a cake or pie kind of guy?
Probably cake.
Me too. I feel like we are the same person. I love cake and I love coffee. So let me tell you this funny story about this cake. So one time my husband tried to throw me a surprise party, and I don't want to do that. I want to stay home like in the butt, just do my own thing. But I did eat the 35% cake to myself, and it took me 2 days, but I still did it. I ate it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Not my proudest moment, but if that tells you how much I love cake.
Yeah. So have you ever eaten coffee beans? Chocolate-covered coffee beans?
Yes, I have. Here
I
on
have
campus at Starbucks.
Yeah, when I was in graduate school in New Mexico, one of my team members brought some and gave me a pile of them. They were stuck together, so she said, "Oh, you can have all of them." I'd never had them before, and I didn't realize it. And I ate that whole pile. And I was coaching the judging team at that time. We showed up at practice, and I had like 3 hours worth we meet for an hour and a half, but I had like 3 hours worth set up and ready to go. And they went nuts. They said, "We can't do all this." And I was going 100 miles an hour, and we probably had twice as productive of practice that day. And I was on my way home, and then all of a sudden I came off the highway, and I almost went to sleep driving.
Oh my
It
goodness.
was horrible.
Yes.
So I don't eat them anymore.
Yeah, they do taste really good.
Yeah, they're really good.
They're really, really good. We have a few minutes left, but in honor of Valentine's Day, so we have another show called Ram Relations. It's not Ram Relations, but it is Valentine's tomorrow.
Okay.
And you did mention that you had a wife. So I just want to ask you, do you have any relationship advice for any of the students or any marriage advice or any shout outs you want to do?
Yep. Arguing and getting mad is stupid.
Amen.
Been married for almost 33 years.
33?
And we've never had a yelling argument in our life.
Really?
Because at the end of an argument, nobody is happier. Even if you win the argument, you feel worse than you did when it all happened.
Yes.
So walk away, research, come back, have a conversation. So that would be my relationship advice is don't get mad and don't argue.
That's good advice. That's
Yeah,
really good
because
advice.
Most people get upset about the petty things anyway.
Yeah. Well, y'all heard it from the man who's been married 33 years. Do you want to give your wife a shout out? You can get brownie points. I'm giving you opportunity to
She's
get
probably not
brownie
gonna listen. She's in Reagan
She
County right now.
She can watch it later.
Yeah.
She can pull it up.
Okay,
Okay. What's her name?
Tara Salisbury. Yep.
Okay. You want to tell her anything?
Yep. I love her very much, and happy Valentine's Day.
Oh, there you go, Tara. All right, guys. Well, that's it for today. Again, my name was Cynthia. I was here with Dr. Michael Salisbury. Thank you so much for coming
Absolutely.
on the show.
Enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed our time together.
Good.
All right, guys. We'll see you again next week. Same time, same day. Thanks.